My name is Serena Rogers. I am 31 years old, and 2 months ago, I stood up at my grandmother's will reading and accused my childhood best friend of elder abuse, manipulation, and fraud in front of 12 witnesses and 2 lawyers. She'd stolen a $1.2 million inheritance that was meant for me and my sister. But the money wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was realizing she'd spent the last year of my grandmother's life turning her against me while I watched helplessly, not understanding what was happening. Let me tell you how my best friend stole my grandmother. It starts 18 months ago, in June, when my grandmother Eleanor had her first fall. She was 84, still sharp as a tack, living independently in the house my grandfather built in 1972. The house where I'd spent every summer as a kid, where she taught me to bake, where she'd promised me she'd leave her recipe books and her grandmother's ring. The house she'd always said would be mine someday. The fall wasn't serious, a trip on the back porch steps, a sprained ankle, but it scared her. She called me from the hospital, and I could hear the fear in her voice. I don't want to be one of those old people who can't take care of themselves. I drove 3 hours from the city to her small town in upstate New York, stayed with her for a week while she recovered. That's when I made my first mistake. I called my best friend, Amber. Amber and I had been friends since we were 7 years old. We grew up 3 houses apart, did everything together. Sleepovers, school projects, first boyfriends. She knew my grandmother almost as well as I did, had spent countless summers at that house with me, eating Grand's chocolate chip cookies, swimming in the lake. When I called her to vent about being worried, she was immediately sympathetic. "Oh my God, is Eleanor okay? Do you need me to come help?" I told her I had it under control, but I appreciated the offer. She said, "Seriously, Serena, I'm only an hour away now. I moved to Albany for the new job, remember? If you need anything, I'm here." I'd forgotten she'd moved closer. We'd drifted a bit over the past few years. She'd been through a rough patch, lost her job, had some money problems, but she was still Amber, still my oldest friend. Before I left to go back to the city, Gran seemed better, back to her normal self, making jokes, shooing me away, telling me to stop fussing. But I noticed she was more cautious, more aware of her age. She mentioned maybe it was time to get things in order, update her will, organize paperwork. I told her there was no rush, but she insisted, said she wanted everything clear just in case. A week later, Amber texted me, "Ran into Eleanor at the grocery store. She looks great. We had coffee. She's such a gem." I thought it was sweet. Amber checking on my grandmother, being a good friend. That was the beginning. Over the next month, Amber's texts about Gran became more frequent. "Had lunch with Eleanor today. She's doing well, but seems a bit lonely. Stopped by to drop off some flowers for Eleanor. We chatted for hours. Eleanor mentioned she's having trouble with her computer. I'm going to go help her set up her email." I was grateful. I was 200 miles away, working 60-hour weeks at a marketing firm, trying to make senior associate. My younger sister, Claire, was in grad school in California. Neither of us could be there regularly. Having Amber nearby, checking in on Gran, felt like a blessing. In August, Gran called me sounding upset. "I don't understand these medical bills. They're saying I owe money for appointments I don't remember making." I told her it was probably a mistake, that I'd call the billing department. When I did, they confirmed she'd had 3 appointments in July, a cardiology consult, a neurological screening, and a geriatric psychiatric evaluation. "Who's scheduled these?" I asked. "Let me check the notes. It says her caregiver called to schedule them. An Amber Mitchell." My stomach dropped. She doesn't have a caregiver. "Oh, well, someone using that name has been bringing her to appointments. Is she a family member?" "No, she's a friend." I called Amber immediately. "Why are you taking Gran to medical appointments?" She sounded surprised, almost hurt. "Because she needed help, Serena. She mentioned she was having some confusion, some memory issues. I thought it was important she get checked out. You're always so busy with work. I didn't want to worry you until we knew what was going on." "What memory issues? She seems fine to me." That's the thing about cognitive decline. It's gradual. You don't see her every day like I do. There have been some concerning moments, forgetting names, getting confused about dates. I really think she should be evaluated properly. I felt a wave of guilt. Was I missing something? Was I so caught up in my own life that I wasn't seeing Gran deteriorate? What did the doctors say? They want to run more tests, but honestly, I think she just needs more support, someone checking in on her regularly. I'm happy to do it, but I wanted you to know what's going on. I thanked her. Actually thanked her for taking my grandmother to doctors without my permission, because she'd framed it as concern, as help, as filling in the gaps where I was failing. That's how manipulation works. It makes you grateful for your own betrayal. In September, Claire called me panicking. Gran isn't returning my calls. I've tried 5 times this week. Did something happen? I'd noticed it too. Gran had become harder to reach. When I did get her on the phone, conversations were shorter. She seemed distracted, tired. When I asked if everything was okay, she said she was fine, just busy. I asked what she was busy with. She said Amber had been taking her to appointments, helping her organize the house, going through old paperwork. Amber's been wonderful, Gran said. I don't know what I'd do without her. She's like the granddaughter who actually has time for me. That stung, but I pushed it down, told myself Gran didn't mean it that way, that she was just appreciating Amber's help. Claire wasn't satisfied. Something feels off. Since when does Gran blow off my calls? We talk every Sunday. I promised I'd drive up the next weekend, check on things in person. When I arrived at Gran's house that Saturday, Amber's car was in the driveway. I let myself in with my key. Found them in the kitchen. Amber was cooking. Gran was sitting at the table, looking frailer than I'd seen her just 2 months ago. She'd lost weight. Her eyes looked tired. Serena, what a surprise. Amber's smile was warm, but something in her eyes was calculating. Eleanor didn't mention you were coming. I wanted to surprise her. I hugged Gran. She hugged me back, but it felt different, weaker. How are you feeling? Oh, I'm all right, just getting old. Amber's been taking such good care of me. I can see that. I looked at Amber. Can we talk outside for a minute? We went to the back porch. I tried to keep my tone casual. I appreciate everything you're doing for Gran, really, but I'm a little concerned about all these medical appointments. What exactly are the doctors saying? Amber leaned against the railing, looking genuinely concerned. They're worried about early-stage dementia. Nothing definitive yet, but there are signs. The memory issues I mentioned, some confusion. She had an episode last week where she forgot where she was for a few minutes. Why didn't you call me immediately? Because you're 3 hours away, Serena. And honestly, you've seemed so stressed lately. I didn't want to add to your plate if it wasn't necessary. She's my grandmother. It's necessary. You're right. I'm sorry. I should have called. I've been trying to protect you. And her. She's embarrassed about the memory stuff. Doesn't want to worry you and Claire. I felt it again. That guilt. That sense that I was being unreasonable for questioning someone who was trying to help. Inside, Gran had moved to the living room. I sat with her, asking about the appointments, the memory issues. She waved it off. Amber worries too much. I'm fine, just a little forgetful sometimes. Happens when you're my age. But then she asked me when Claire was graduating. Claire had graduated 3 years ago. She was in her 2nd year of graduate school. I corrected her gently. She looked confused for a moment, then laughed it off. See, that's what I mean. These dates all run together. Over dinner, Amber insisted on staying. I watched their interaction. Amber was attentive, almost doting, cutting Gran's food, refilling her water, speaking to her in a slightly louder voice, as if Gran couldn't hear properly. But Gran's hearing was fine. It felt performative, like Amber was establishing herself as the primary caregiver. After dinner, I helped Gran to her bedroom. On her nightstand, I saw a bottle of pills I didn't recognize. What are these? Oh, Dr. Morrison prescribed them for the memory. Dr. Morrison? Your regular doctor is Dr. Chen. Amber said Dr. Chen was too far away. Dr. Morrison is closer, easier for her to drive me. Gran, Dr. Chen is 10 minutes away. Who's Dr. Morrison? She looked flustered. I don't know. Amber handles all that now. I took a photo of the pill bottle. Later, I Googled it. They were anxiety medications, high dose, the kind that can cause confusion, memory problems, drowsiness in elderly patients, side effects that could be mistaken for dementia. I confronted Amber as she was leaving. Why is Gran on anxiety medication? She's never had anxiety. The doctor thought it would help with agitation. She's been getting upset easily. It's common with cognitive decline. Or it's common with being over-medicated by a doctor I've never heard of. Amber's face changed, just for a second. The mask slipped. She looked annoyed. Then she recovered. I understand you're concerned, but I'm the one here every day. I see what you don't see, the mood swings, the confusion, the fear. Dr. Morrison is a geriatric specialist. He knows what he's doing. I want to speak to him. Of course, I'll have his office call you. She never did. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in Gran's guest room, listening to the house settle, feeling like something was deeply wrong, but unable to articulate exactly what. In the morning, I tried to talk to Gran about her medical care, about maybe getting a second opinion. She shut down immediately. Amber knows what she's doing. She's been so helpful. I don't want to cause problems. You're not causing problems, Gran. I just want to make sure. You don't visit enough to know what I need. Her voice was sharp. Amber is here. You're not. I drove back to the city feeling like I'd been punched. Gran had never spoken to me like that. We'd always been close. What had changed? Over the next 2 months, things got worse. Gran stopped calling. When I called her, Amber often answered. She's resting. She's not feeling well. She's confused today. It's not a good time. When I did talk to Gran, she was distant, short with me, mentioned things I'd supposedly said or done that never happened. You told Amber I should sell the house. I never said that. You said you were too busy to visit anymore. I visited every other weekend. Claire tried to visit in October. When she showed up, Amber was there and told her Gran was having a bad day, that visitors would overwhelm her. Claire insisted. Gran barely spoke to her, seemed agitated by her presence, asked her to leave after 20 minutes. Claire called me crying. That wasn't Gran. Something's wrong, really wrong. I called Adult Protective Services, filed a concern about possible elder abuse. They did a welfare check, called me back 2 days later. Ms. Clark, your grandmother is being well cared for. She has a companion assisting her. The house is clean. She's not in any danger. She stated clearly that she's happy with her current situation and that she feels you and your sister are overreacting to normal aging. Did you talk to her alone? Ms. Mitchell was present, but your grandmother was very articulate about her wishes. Of course, Amber was present. In November, I got a call from Gran's bank, a courtesy call because there had been unusual activity on her account, large withdrawals, a new joint account holder added. Did I know about this? No, I did not. I drove up immediately, didn't tell anyone I was coming, arrived at 7 a.m. Amber's car was in the driveway, again. I walked in, found Amber in Gran's office going through papers. She jumped when she saw me. Jesus, Serena, you scared me. What are you doing? Helping Eleanor organize her finances. She asked me to. Did she also ask you to add yourself to her bank account? Amber's face went carefully neutral. She needed someone to help manage her bills. She can't keep track anymore. It's a joint account so I can write checks for her, take care of things. You're stealing from her. I'm helping her, and frankly, it's insulting that you accuse me of, where's Gran? Still sleeping, it's early. I went to Gran's bedroom, knocked softly, opened the door. She was awake, sitting up in bed, looking small and confused. When she saw me, she didn't smile. What are you doing here? I came to see you. Gran, did you add Amber to your bank account? Amber handles all that. She takes care of me. But did you ask her to do that? Do you understand that she can access all your money? I trust her, more than I trust you, apparently. The words hit like a slap. What? Gran, why would you say that? Amber told me you and Claire are trying to put me in a home, that you're just waiting for me to get bad enough to take control. But Amber actually cares. She's here. We would never put you in a home against your will. Whoever told you that is lying. Amber doesn't lie to me. You're the one who's always too busy, always making excuses. I tried for an hour to get through to her, to explain that someone was manipulating her. She wouldn't hear it. Eventually, Amber came in, put a hand on Gran's shoulder, and said gently, "Eleanor, you're getting upset. This isn't good for your blood pressure. Maybe Serena should leave." Gran nodded. "Yes, I think that's best." I left, sat in my car in the driveway, and cried. Then I called Claire. "We need a lawyer." The lawyer explained our options. We could try for emergency guardianship, but it would require proving Gran was mentally incompetent. Based on what I described, we might have a case, but it would be a battle. Gran would have to be evaluated by a court-appointed psychiatrist. It could take months. And if Gran fought it, which, based on her current state, she would, it could destroy our relationship permanently. What if someone is manipulating her, giving her medication to make her seem incompetent? Then you'd need proof, medical records showing inappropriate prescribing, evidence of coercion. It's very difficult to prove. I started investigating, called Dr. Morrison's office. They had no record of my grandmother as a patient. I asked for the address Amber had been taking her to. Went there. It was a strip mall with a UPS store and a nail salon, no medical office. The appointments were fake. Amber had been taking Gran somewhere, maybe just driving around for an hour, and telling her they'd been to the doctor. The pills were probably from an online pharmacy or a friend. Everything was fabricated to make Gran seem more confused and dependent than she actually was. I hired a private investigator. He did a background check on Amber, found out she was in serious debt, credit cards maxed out, eviction notice from her apartment. She'd been fired from her last 2 jobs. She was desperate for money. My grandmother had money, a paid-off house worth $800,000, savings of $400,000, investments. She'd always said it would be split between me and Claire. Money for grad school, a house down payment, starting a family. Amber knew this. I'd told her years ago. In December, Gran changed her will. I found out because the estate lawyer, my grandfather's old lawyer, called me. "Serena, I wanted to let you know Eleanor came in to update her will. I'm ethically obligated to inform you there have been significant changes." "What kind of changes?" "She's leaving everything to Amber Mitchell. The house, the bank accounts, all of it. You and your sister have been removed as beneficiaries." My blood ran cold. "When did this happen?" "Last week. She seemed very certain about it, said you and your sister had abandoned her, but Amber had been there through everything." "She's being manipulated. You know my grandmother. Does this sound like her?" "Honestly, no. She seemed different, almost coached in what she was saying. But she was lucid. She signed the documents. Unless you can prove incompetence or undue influence, the will is valid." "How do I prove undue influence?" "You'd need to show Amber isolated Eleanor from family, created dependency, used deception or coercion. It's a high bar." I started documenting everything, saved every text message, every phone call, created a timeline of Amber's involvement and how Gran's behavior changed. The PI got me Gran's medical records, the real ones from Dr. Chen. They showed Gran had been healthy, no signs of dementia or memory issues at her last real checkup in May. The decline started exactly when Amber started helping. I got bank records through the lawyer, showed that since Amber was added to the account in October, $75,000 had been withdrawn, cash withdrawals, transfers to Amber's personal account, checks written to Amber for caregiver services at $500 a day. In January, Gran stopped answering the phone entirely. I drove up every weekend. Amber was always there, always had an excuse for why I couldn't see Gran alone. She's sleeping, she's having a bad day, the doctor said no visitors. Once I insisted, pushed past Amber into the house. Gran was in the living room, looking dazed. When she saw me, she started crying. I want to be alone. Everyone needs to leave me alone. Amber ushered me out. You're upsetting her. You need to give her space. You're drugging her. I know about the fake appointments. I know Dr. Morrison doesn't exist. I know you're stealing her money. If you harass Eleanor again, I'll get a restraining order. She doesn't want to see you. I went to the police, filed a report for elder abuse and exploitation. They investigated, talked to Gran. She told them the same thing she'd told APS. She was fine, Amber was helping, her family was harassing her. Without Gran's cooperation, there was nothing they could do. Claire flew in from California. We tried an intervention, showed up with the lawyer, the documentation, everything. Amber called the police on us for trespassing. We left. The lawyer said our only option was to wait. When Eleanor passes, you can contest the will. With the evidence you have, the fake medical appointments, the financial exploitation, the isolation, you might be able to prove undue influence. But while she's alive and defending Amber's actions, there's nothing we can do. I felt sick. We were waiting for my grandmother to die so we could fight over her will. This wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted her back. In February, I got a call from Gran's neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, an older woman who'd lived next door for 30 years. Serena, I don't know if this helps, but I've been keeping notes about Amber, the things I've seen. She invited me over, showed me a journal, dates and times when Amber's car was at the house, sometimes overnight, instances where she'd heard raised voices, times when Amber had turned away other visitors, including the pastor from Gran's church. Last week, Mrs. Patterson said, I saw Amber bring a man to the house. They were carrying boxes out. I asked Eleanor about it later. I brought her soup, and she had no idea what I was talking about, said no one had taken anything. What was in the boxes? I couldn't tell, but I wrote down the date and time, and I have a security camera that faces the street. It might have caught them. She did. The footage showed Amber and an unknown man loading boxes into a truck. We enhanced the image. The boxes were labeled Eleanor Clark personal items. They were stealing from her. I took everything to the DA's office, the financial records, the fake doctor, the security footage, Mrs. Patterson's journal. They agreed to investigate. 2 weeks later, the investigator called. We're building a case, but it's slow. The best thing that could happen is if Eleanor becomes aware of what's happening and testifies against Amber. Is there any way to get her alone? I didn't think so. Amber had locked it down completely. Then, in March, Gran had a stroke. Mrs. Patterson found her on the front porch, collapsed, called 911, called me. I drove 3 hours in 2 hours. Amber was already at the hospital, presenting herself as Gran's primary caregiver, making medical decisions. I fought with the hospital staff. I'm her granddaughter. I have legal standing. You can't let a friend make decisions. They checked the records. Gran had filed a healthcare proxy, naming Amber. I couldn't even see her. Amber had the power to restrict visitors. For 3 days, I sat in that waiting room, trying to get information, being blocked at every turn. Claire flew in. We hired a lawyer to file an emergency motion. By the time it was approved, Gran had stabilized. She was moved to a rehabilitation facility. Amber had her transferred to a facility 2 hours away. But the stroke had changed something. Gran's doctor pulled me aside. I've been reviewing her medications. Someone has been giving her inappropriate doses of multiple drugs, sedatives, anxiety medication, sleep aids. It's a miracle she didn't have the stroke sooner. Can you document that officially? I already have, and I've reported it to the State Medical Board and Adult Protective Services. This is elder abuse. Finally, a medical professional who saw it. With the doctor's report, we got an emergency hearing. The judge reviewed the evidence, the financial exploitation, the fake medical care, the over-medication, the isolation. He granted us temporary guardianship and ordered an investigation. We moved Gran to a facility near us, away from Amber. The first week, she was angry, confused, demanding to see Amber. But as the medications left her system, she started to clear, started to remember things. One afternoon, 3 weeks after the stroke, I was visiting. Gran looked at me with clear eyes for the first time in months. "Serena, what happened? Where am I?" I explained everything, gently. She didn't believe me at first. Then I showed her the bank statements, the security footage, the timeline. She went very quiet. "She told me you didn't care about me," Gran said. "She said you and Claire only wanted my money, that you were just waiting for me to die. We would never." I know. I know that now, but she was so convincing, and I was so lonely. After the fall, I felt so old and useless. She made me feel needed, made me feel like she was the only one who cared, and slowly I started believing everything she said. "Did she ask you to change your will?" Gran nodded, tears streaming down her face. She said it was only fair, that she was the one taking care of me, that family doesn't matter as much as the people who show up. I believed her. God help me, I believed her. The doctor confirmed Gran had been deliberately over-medicated to keep her compliant and confused. The DA filed charges against Amber: elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud, but we still had to deal with the will. The will reading was scheduled on April 15th. Even though Gran was alive, her previous will was being contested on grounds of undue influence. The court had frozen all assets pending investigation. Amber showed up to the reading with a lawyer. She'd been out on bail, confident she'd still get the money. After all, the will was legal, signed, notarized. The estate lawyer, Mr. Harrison, sat at the head of the conference table. Gran was there via video call from the rehab facility. She wasn't well enough to attend in person, but she'd insisted on participating. Claire and I sat on one side, Amber and her lawyer on the other. Mr. Harrison began. "We're here to address the will executed by Eleanor Clark on December 15th of last year. However, before we proceed with the reading, there are some matters that need to be addressed." Amber's lawyer jumped in. "The will is valid and properly executed. My client is the sole beneficiary as per Mrs. Clark's explicit wishes at the time." "Yes," Mr. Harrison said, calmly. "However, Mrs. Clark has since recovered from a medically induced state of confusion and has provided sworn testimony that the will was executed under undue influence. Additionally, we have evidence of financial exploitation and fraud committed by Miss Mitchell during the time she had access to Mrs. Clark." He pulled out a folder, started displaying documents on the screen. Bank statements showing the $75,000 in withdrawals, the security footage of Amber removing items from Gran's house, Mrs. Patterson's journal entries, the medical reports showing inappropriate medication. Amber's face was turning red. "This is ridiculous. Eleanor wanted me to have—" "Let's ask Eleanor," Mr. Harrison said. He turned the laptop so Gran's face filled the screen. Gran looked directly at Amber. Her voice was weak but clear. "You lied to me. You isolated me from my family. You drugged me and stole from me. You made me think my own granddaughters had abandoned me when they were trying to help me the whole time." "Eleanor, that's not— I was helping you. I cared about you." "You cared about my money. I trusted you. You were my granddaughter's friend. I let you into my home, into my life, and you used it to manipulate me. I was lonely and scared, and you exploited that. I never— You have security footage of you removing items from my house without permission. I have medical records showing you were giving me medications that made me confused and compliant. I have bank statements showing you stole $75,000 from me. Would you like to continue claiming you cared about me?" The room was silent. Amber's lawyer was furiously taking notes. Amber herself looked like she was going to be sick. Mr. Harrison continued. Mrs. Clark has executed a new will under medical supervision and with a psychiatric evaluation confirming her competence. The previous will is being contested on grounds of undue influence, and given the criminal charges pending against Miss Mitchell, I suspect it will be invalidated. You can't do this, Amber said, her voice breaking. I spent a year taking care of her, a year of my life. You spent a year committing elder abuse, I said. I'd stayed quiet until now, but I couldn't anymore. You saw an elderly woman who was vulnerable, and you exploited her. You destroyed her relationship with her family. You stole from her. You drugged her. And you did it all while pretending to be her friend, while pretending to be my friend. I needed the money, Serena. I was drowning. I lost my job, my apartment. I had nothing. And your grandmother had so much. You have your career, your life in the city. You didn't need it. So you decided to steal it? I decided to take care of someone who needed help. And yes, maybe I deserved something for that. Is that so wrong? Yes, Gran's voice came through the speakers. It is, because you didn't take care of me. You imprisoned me. You made me distrust my own family. You made the last year of my life a nightmare, and you did it for money. Amber started crying, real tears this time, not the manipulative ones I'd seen her use before. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked for help. You were my friend. If you'd told me you were struggling, I would have helped you. But instead, you decided to destroy my family. The lawyer wrapped up the meeting. The will was being challenged. Amber would have to return any assets she'd taken. She was facing criminal charges that could result in years in prison. She left with her lawyer, not looking back. Claire and I sat there in silence after they'd gone. Gran was still on the screen. I'm sorry, she said softly. I'm sorry I let her do this. I'm sorry I pushed you away. You were being manipulated, Claire said. It's not your fault. I should have trusted you. I should have known. She was very good at what she did. She made it look like love. The trial happened 3 months later. Amber pled guilty to elder abuse and financial exploitation in exchange for a reduced sentence, 5 years in prison, restitution of all stolen funds, and a restraining order from Gran. During her sentencing, she gave a statement. I want to apologize to Eleanor and her family. I was desperate and I made terrible choices. I convinced myself I was helping, that I deserved compensation for my time. But the truth is, I manipulated someone who trusted me. I destroyed friendships that meant something, and I can never take that back. The judge wasn't sympathetic. You targeted a vulnerable elderly woman and systematically isolated her from her family while stealing from her. This wasn't a moment of desperation. This was a calculated year-long con. 5 years in prison is lenient. Amber went to prison. The will was invalidated, Gran's assets were restored, and she executed a new will with proper safeguards. She moved into an assisted living facility closer to me and Claire, not because she needed it, but because she wanted the community, wanted to be around people again. Her mind came back fully once the medications cleared. She was sharper at 85 than she'd been at 84 because she wasn't being drugged. We got back our relationship, had Sunday dinners, talked on the phone every day. She gave me the ring, the one she'd always promised, her grandmother's sapphire. She said, I want you to have it now so I can see you wear it. People ask me if I'm angry, if I hate Amber. The truth is, I don't think about her enough to hate her. She's just gone. A person I thought I knew who turned out to be someone else entirely. What makes me angry is how easy it was, how quickly she turned Gran against us, how the system, APS, the police, the hospital, all believed her over us because she was there and we weren't. How being a caregiver gave her access and authority that she used as a weapon. Elder abuse is common, more common than anyone wants to admit. And it often comes from people the victim trusts, family, friends, caregivers, people who see vulnerability and exploit it. If I'd known what to look for, I might have stopped it sooner. The isolation, the medication changes, the financial manipulation. These are classic signs. But I didn't know. I trusted Amber. So did Gran. Now I tell everyone, if you have an elderly relative, stay involved. Visit regularly. Talk to their doctors yourself. Know what medications they're on. Check their bank accounts. It feels invasive, but it's protective. Because the people who abuse elders count on families being too polite, too trusting, too busy to notice. Amber counted on me being 3 hours away and too busy with work. She was almost right. If Gran hadn't had that stroke, if the medication had kept her compliant for another year, Amber might have gotten away with everything. Gran might have died believing her granddaughters had abandoned her. That's what I can't forgive. Not the money. The money can be replaced, but Amber stole a year of Gran's life, a year of our relationship. She made Gran's final years painful and confusing when they should have been peaceful. Gran is 86 now, healthy, happy, living in a community where she has friends and activities. Claire and I visit often. We have dinners, we laugh, we make new memories to replace the ones Amber poisoned. The house is being sold. Gran decided she didn't want to keep it. Too many bad associations now. The money will be split between me and Claire for graduate school, house down payments, the future, the way it was always supposed to be. Last week, I got a letter from Amber, forwarded from the prison. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. Dear Serena, it started. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I think about what I did every day. I destroyed a friendship that meant everything to me. I hurt someone I cared about. I told myself it was about the money, but the truth is, I was jealous. You had your career, your family, your life. I had nothing. And when I saw how much Eleanor loved you, how much she'd do for you, I wanted that. I wanted to be the important one, the needed one, so I made her need me, and I made her stop needing you. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I am. I read it twice, then I put it through the shredder. She's right. Sorry doesn't mean anything, not for what she did. Gran asked me once if I thought Amber was truly evil or just desperate. I thought about it for a long time. I think she was desperate, I said finally, but she made evil choices, and desperation doesn't excuse that. No, Gran agreed. It doesn't. My grandmother is still here, still sharp, still making her chocolate chip cookies, still teaching me things. I didn't lose her, even though Amber tried her hardest to take her from me. And Amber, she lost everything: her freedom, her reputation, her friend, her future. Sometimes people ask if the public humiliation at the will reading was necessary, if we could have handled it more privately. The answer is yes, we could have, but Amber spent a year lying to everyone, the doctors, the police, adult protective services, our entire community. She created a narrative where she was the hero and we were the villains. Standing in that conference room, showing the evidence, letting Gran speak her truth, that wasn't cruelty. That was justice. That was making sure everyone who'd believed Amber's lies knew the truth. She wanted to be seen as the devoted caregiver. Instead, she'll be remembered as the woman who went to prison for elder abuse. That's not revenge. That's just consequences. My grandmother is alive and well. We got our time back, and Amber's 5 years in prison, that's just the beginning of what she deserves. The best part isn't that she got caught, it's that Gran got to confront her, got to look her in the eye and take back her power, got to live. Sometimes the victory isn't in the revenge, it's in the survival, in the relationships that endure, in the grandmother who's sitting in my apartment right now, teaching my niece how to bake, creating new memories. Amber tried to steal my grandmother's last years, but she failed, and that's